Welcome everybody to Berks Bards of Berks County. We are so glad you're here. I'm Elizabeth Stanley, and we have some wonderful treats for you tonight. So thank you for joining us. I would like to say that Berks Bards has been in operation since 1998. We used to say fostering poetry in Berks County since 1998. Now we say fostering poetry virtually since 2020 because we made the switch to virtual, as a lot of organizations did. So we're very glad you're with us. It was a steep learning curve for some of us to get onto Zoom, but it's good. I would like to say that you're welcome to join us every first Thursday. Next month in January, we have a wonderful poet named Anthony Orozco, who's going to be our feature. Please stay tuned for that. I don't have the date, but it's the first Thursday in January at 6 o'clock. So if you get on our mailing list, and obviously you know how to reach us, you can get a link to that event. So I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn Klimshow, who's my sidekick. We've been working on Berks Bards for a long time. And I want to also thank Hiram for being our host today. You are offering immeasurable service, Hiram. Thank you so much. So Marilyn, take it away. You have to unmute.
Yeah. There you go.
My name is Marilyn Klimshow. I was the treasurer in the past for Berks Bards, and people have been saying, yeah, I do a lot. Well, I've done a lot. I am a force, but I'm hardly running it anymore. That's really up to Jennifer Hetrick. She's got the organization in her capable hands. I just want to let everybody know it's been a tough year. We're not expecting any funding from the state in this coming year. So I don't know, does somebody tell me, in Baltimore, do you have Redner's warehouse markets by chance? Yes, no?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Well, if you're local and you shop at Redner's, if you save your tapes, scan a little card when you go through the checkouts, they give us a portion of the sale, and that has helped to fund us. And I get $50 every 2 or 3 times a year, and that helps to pay our poets. So with that in mind, you know, if you're gonna shop, try to shop at Redner's and scan those tapes, and send the receipts to me at my address, which is 16 Bentley Court in Reading, Pennsylvania, 19601. That will help a lot. I'm just this close to getting another batch of tapes in and getting another $50 from them. The other choice you might have is to drop some money into PayPal, via PayPal to Berks Bards. Did we just have Giving Tuesday, or is that coming up?
We just had it. Mm-hmm.
We just had it 2 days ago. Yeah, that will help to fund us too, because we're not expecting any money from the state this year. Mm-hmm. I'm watching all the sources dry up. So anyway, that's about all I had to share. Hiram, do you want to take it over?
Sure. So first off, I just want everyone to appreciate, including Phyllis Klein from the West Coast. It's wonderful to see you, Phyllis, and Yara. Thank you for joining, and Bernardo and Mina and everyone who's just joined us here recently, Vanessa. I want everyone to realize that Berks Bards is a very, very, very active group based in Reading, Pennsylvania. They host all kinds of readings. They co-sponsor or are actively involved in a poet laureate program for Berks County. They're called Berks Bards because they're in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And they just are very, very active up that way. And so if there is any way that you have a little bit of spare change, you would be willing to contribute to the cause, please consider doing so. Marilyn, if there is a link that you could even drop into the chat room, kind of directing people how to contribute or where to contribute, either your address or an email or URL address to a PayPal account, that would be wonderful. But we really appreciate everyone being here this evening, especially because we have a very special guest who's going to be our featured poet this evening, Ladi Di. She comes to us from District Heights, Maryland. Ladi Di is a native of Southeast Washington and an alumni of what's called Anacostia High School and the University of the District of Columbia. She lives, as I say, in suburban Maryland. She's affectionately called Ladi Di. Her full name is Sylvia Dianne Beverly, and she goes by Ladi Di. She's a founding member of the poetry ensemble called Collective Voices, which is very well known in the DC area and has had programs for many years in conjunction with Martin Luther King Day in January. And she's presented her work at schools and libraries and churches and radio stations and television stations all over the area. Recently, she celebrated the 40th anniversary of Grace Cavallari's radio program called The Poet and the Poem, which is broadcast out from the Library of Congress. It's a very prestigious program that Grace hosts, and Ladi Di has been interviewed by Grace on that show. And Ladi Di is also a founding member of what's called the Appointed PENS, and PENS stands for Poets Empowered to Nurture Souls. So she's a founding member of PENS Poetry Ministry in a local church here. She is a founder director. If you hear the word founder many times, you get some idea about what kind of organizer Ladi Di is. She's founder and director of Girls and Boys with Hearts, a youth poet laureate, a poetry group. And beyond that, she's the author of 2 books of poems. The first one is called Forever in Your Eyes, and the other one is Cooking Up South. And when I get my act together here, I'll share screen the cover of both of those books with you. Most importantly, I think I can say this because I'm a real close friend of Ladi Di's, she is a regal presence on the poetry scene, and she never fails to captivate audiences with her words and with her powerful, powerful voice. So with that, let's turn it over to Ladi Di. She's going to read for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up for a few minutes of questions or comments. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free, even while she's reading, to put those in the chat room so that we will have a few queued up when she finishes. And after the questions, after the visit interaction with her, we'll ask her to close this evening with a final poem. So Ladi Di, I'm going to go on mute. Really looking forward to your reading. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hiram, and welcome to everyone that has joined us today. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your brother's eyes and into your sister's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good evening. Ancient oats. Emerald green moss of ancient oaks, curved arches line enchanted forests, wondering the hour of natural ceremonies, of animals running wild at night, hiding out in still of autumn afternoon. Come out, creatures of night. I will not walk alone. For stillness of day, mystic leaves are forever in sight, and the texture of moss I do not want to see close up or even feel. Is this my imagination running wild, or is it really real. You may have recognized that poem because it's on the flyer that was created for this event. This next poem is dedicated to my beloved mother, my #1 fan, Mama Sweetie. Mama, I smile when I first see you, 'cause you are made that way. Mama, your smile is so tender, sweetly beautiful, forever and a day. Mama, sweetie, you have a devotion of yourself, unconditionally. Always here for all your children, grandchildren, and great-grands as well. To teach, to share, daily, prayerfully, show each of us you care. Provide and guide us toward a righteous, spiritual life, the way God our Father wants us to live. Teach by example has perpetually been your style. A pleasure to spend time with you. Everlasting goodness comforts my soul. When I'm down, my spirit lifts. When around you, I'm found. A positive motivating force within my life. A divine light that will forever shine in my heart and mind. Our Heavenly Father blessed our family when you and Dad became husband and wife. Dedicate your time and mind toward enlightening greatness of your family's life. I'm so blessed to have you as my mother. I'm so blessed to have you as my #1 fan. I'm so blessed to have you as my dear and trusting friend. I will always love you, Mama Sweetie. I'll always be Daddy's girl. I want to dance with my daddy again too. I want to be his little girl, so happy, so true. I want to whisper secrets and watch Dad smile. I want to hear him say, too bad they can't stay small a longer while. I'll always be Daddy's girl. I want to wake in the morning to Dad's melodic, mellow songs. I want to feel safe and warm and strong as Daddy holds me in his arms. I want to hear him say, is everybody happy? Then send me on a chore saying, you're not back yet, girl? Make it snappy. I want to listen to Dad's wit and wisdom all night. I want to have Dad hug me and say, everything's going to be all right. I want to turn back the hands of time and in my daily life, feel Dad's love shine. I'll always be Daddy's girl. She never forgot my name. Smiles when she first sees me. She's sweetly made that way. Always and forever best friends. Perpetually, we felt desire to be with each other. Daily, spiritually, lovingly, we prayed together. I prayed and still pray to have her spirit, to be ever so kind to everyone. A warm, humble, elegant, and dignified lady, a humanitarian. She would often say, there's so much good in the worst of us, no perfect person in the world. As Mom aged, her mind would come and go. Through it all, an amazing blessing for me. Makes me oh so happy. She never forgot my name. So how far do you want me to go, Hiram, or keep going? Please remember, they call me the love poet. So I think this poem might have a little love in it. Let's see. Some more love, like romantic type love. please remember. I just remember what we used to do, crazy and wild, so exciting, thrilling to me. To you too? Baby, you give me butterflies, assuring me sensuous voluptuousness. I do magic to music you bring. I love you. I want to stay with you all night and day, lay and play and enjoy each other, relax into major oblivion. Write that, sweets. You my muse. For decades, all I know, babe, I remember what we used to do. Daily conversations, first thing in morning, last thing at night, praying just before sleep to pick up in each other's dreams, pure satisfaction. Covered, flowing, and floating, ecstasy's tunnel, straight up addictive, refined love. Spontaneous to your touch. Loving your smile, loving gleam in your eyes. I love your charm. Pulls me in your arms automatically. On your hearty laughter. Oh, your hearty laughter, babe. I'm available to you, darling honey babe. Nobody can make me feel like you. Nobody can do ordinary things like you. I just remember what we used to do, dancing to music. I love how you twirl me. Oh, you smell so good. I love laying my head in your chest. I love how when I get home, your fragrance lingers, sipping chilled sweet passion juice together, laid back. Yum, yum, like double dipped hot fudge, wet nuts, sundae whipped cream, cherry, and more nuts sprinkled on top, or thick homemade moist pineapple upside down cake with whole sweet cherries in center of each pineapple glazed slice. I made for your enjoyment with tender loving care. TLC always brings more goodness and flavor. Can't think of nothing else. I just remember what we used to do and wondering, darling, honey, sweet baby, if at this very tender second, you remember what I asked you not to forget. Okay, let me take a deep breath after that one.
Whoa. That was wonderful.
Okay, let's see. That is actually for my cookbook I've been writing for some years now. Appetizer to My Heart is love poems and recipes. So a lot of the love poems have food in them. And I'm still writing.
Lady Di, I'm going to share screen real quickly, share screen the cover of your other cookbook, Cooking Up South, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. And both, I failed to mention right up front, both of Lady Di's books are available on Amazon, but you can also email her when she has a moment. Maybe she can drop her email into the chat room. If you would like a signed autographed copy, you can order one direct from her. So I'll go back here, Lady Di, but you just keep going. I'd say you've got another maybe 8-9 minutes, something like that.
Okay. I did put my
you could have waited until the damn Christmas break.
Who's that?
I don't know. I just muted.
Okay. I can't see. Can everyone see me? Or
Yep.
Is it? Yep. It went blank. It went blank on my side. Okay, there you are. Okay, there it is. What was I going to say? On Aging. It's a poem by my hero, Dr. Maya Angelou. And what I was going to say is that Forever in Your Eyes is my first poetry book, is dedicated to Dr. Maya Angelou. And I was blessed to have someone give her a copy of my book, and she wrote me a letter, a little note thanking me for the dedication. And that note can be found in my collection of work at George Washington University Gilman Library once we're open again. So this is a book, this is a poem I'm reading from Dr. Maya Angelou's And Still I Rise. It becomes more and more a favorite. On aging. When you see me sitting quietly, like a sack left on a shelf, don't think I need your chattering. I'm listening to myself. Hold, stop. Don't pity me. Hold, stop your sympathy. Understanding if you got it. Otherwise, I'll do without it. When my bones are stiff and aching and my feet won't climb the stair, I will only ask one favor. Don't bring me no rocking chair. When you see me walking, stumbling, don't study and get it wrong, 'cause tired don't mean lazy and every goodbye ain't gone. I'm the same person I was then, a little less hair and a little less chin, a lot less lungs and much more less wind. But ain't I lucky I can still breathe in? Dr. Maya Angelou.
Nice.
And in my title of my book, my first poetry book, Forever in Your Eyes, this is the title poem. Phenomenal. Even though you describe yourself as sane, it starts with the sweetness of the sound of your name. You have a style of elegance that surfaces with each work that you master. I'm touched by your emotions now and forever after. Fantastic to see you receive the recognition deserved. More than 2 decades that the cage bird has been preserved. Charity, justice, equality above all. It's no wonder you were a distinguished guest at the inaugural ball. Extraordinary expression as to what pride can do for you, with a constant struggle and belief in all you strive to do. Life is a constant battle when I know it's no lie. I can see it, Maya. I can feel it. That's why those tears are forever in your eyes. So I'm going to read one more love poem, and then I'm going to read a poem from the work of Voices of Woodlawn, which a number of you have heard. This is a love poem. Divine Man of Mine. Like a firm conviction of my mind, darling, perpetually, you are one of a kind. You turn heads when you walk in a room. You bring a guiding light. You deplete all gloom. Forever by your side is where I want to be. I am for you, sweetheart, and you are for me. Always we bring each other everlasting glee. Feels grand to bask in your sunshine. Self-assured confidence passes on down the line. You have always been my loving muse. Without you, I felt, what's the use? Without you, I felt, what's the use? I love the happiness and smiles you bring, a spiritual connection, a flow of satisfaction, strengthens and guides positive, tender reactions. Divine man of mine, with each day passing, you become more refined. Bricks are calling my name. Bricks, wondering exactly what you're saying to me. Each brick lines path to doorway of historic Woodlawn plantation mansion. Each brick handmade, each brick inlaid by hand, entwining across around 120 acres of land, leading to a magical, mysterious wonder. Questions unanswered. Do we really want to know stories? Can we imagine all encountered? Dream dreams of our ancestors' sacrifice, dreams of their struggles, dreams of their horrid suffering, suffering that strengthens our endurance, confidently documents our legacy. Without a doubt, leave photos, writings, and poetry for our children to see, to share with their children and their children's children. History engraved like fossils in corner of our minds. Bricks are calling my name. Tell me, my brave ancestors, what else are they saying? Dedicated to Dr. Hiram G. LaRue.
Thank you, Lady Di. And Lady Di, just so people, I think several people on the Zoom session are familiar with Voices of Woodlawn, but there may be a few who aren't. That wonderful piece that she just presented us was written when Lady Di and some of the rest of us visited a historic plantation called Woodlawn in Northern Virginia. It's on land that was at one time owned by George Washington. And at its height, it was owned and lived in by 9 whites and served by 90 slaves. And the record of those slaves' lives is largely lost and unknown. And so Lady Di was there with the rest of us. And as she was saying, bricks were calling her name. If you have one more, Lady Di, and then can save one to close the session out a little bit later on. But if you have one more to read to us, and then we'll go to some questions.
Sweet fragrance of a rose. Fragrance of a rose so sweet. Thoughts of rose-filled kindness knocks me off my feet. Entwine my heart with love and poetry. Something I can really feel. A love so strong where only goodness lies. Colorful attraction, precious beauty for all eyes. Velvety soft, tenderly touches delicate souls. Perpetually a phenomenal gift to give. Yes, give me my flowers while we still live. A love, beauty, and sweet. I love beauty and sweet fragrance of a rose.
Wonderful. Lady Di, my goodness, that is the incomparable Lady Di. Dianne, Sylvia Dianne Beverly, Lady Di, affectionately known as Lady Di here in the area and nationally and internationally as well.
Oh.
Lady Di, I'd like anyone who has a question or a comment, you've got already lots of comments in the chat room, so you'll want to savor those if you have a chance. And also when you have a chance, if you could maybe drop your email address into the chat. I put the fact that your books are available on Amazon, but I didn't put your email address in there for people to order ones directly from you.
Yes, directly from me, they can get it autographed, but I'm getting ready to put my email in it.
Great.
In there.
Great. And I would love anyone who would like to unmute themselves and ask a question or put a question in the chat room. That would be great. There are already some questions or comments from Vanessa, for example. She says, your poetry is so filled with possibility for your loved ones. It makes me feel like they are lucky to be loved or to have been loved by you. Tell us a little bit about you. You are known as the love poet. What is that deep well of love in you, and how do you tap into it?
It's automatic. God is love. God is in me. It's love of nature, love of life, love of my family, love of others, love of children, just love of writing. Poetry is my passion. God gave me that talent, and I have been using it since elementary school days. I love that people titled me Love Poet. I think that Love Poet was given to me on a radio broadcast. God rest his soul, Brother R passed earlier this year. He was a radio personality on WPFW, and he had collective voices on there when it was 5 ladies at the time. And he told all the ladies, Lady Di has love in every single poem. She's the love poet.
She's a love poet.
That's where that came from.
And it stuck. Yeah. And we're glad that it did. Well, he was right.
But it's
Liz,
the love of
Stanley,
family.
I'm sorry,
My
go ahead.
parents were very loving and devoted and passed that love on to us.
Sure. I'd like to ask Lady Di about her work with youth, but Liz Stanley, do you have a question or a thought for Lady Di?
Oh, Lady Di, thank you so much. This was a wonderful reading. I love hearing your voice.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks for inviting me.
It is so musical and so deep and so loving. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You answered my question in part. You said you've been writing since you were very little. What do you think the spark was? What was the first? Can you take yourself back to that childhood and tell us about?
I can.
Okay.
I can. I actually have the book, but it was a child's garden of verses that my siblings and I'm the oldest girl of 9 children, the second child. Both of my parents were poets in their own right, and my dad used to recite Paul Laurence Dunbar, and my mom was more, I want to say, proper with reciting Shakespeare. So I couldn't wait until the first time I learned a portion of Shakespeare. 7th grade, I learned Mark Antony's speech from Julius Caesar. But in the 6th grade, I wrote for a homework assignment a poem, A Fond Farewell. And my teacher loved it so much that she said, this could be our graduation speech, the closing of our graduation.
Right.
So that was 6th grade. I recited A Fond Farewell that I wrote for a homework assignment. So that was in the 6th grade. But I've been doing poetry almost nonstop, almost every single day since 1989. That's when I declared myself as a poet, and I haven't stopped. I've had many blessings to share my work.
Wonderful. You mentioned Paul Laurence Dunbar. I have read his work, and I've also heard his work by a man named Herbert Woodward Martin. I think you would.
Yeah, I did too.
You know Herbert?
Also.
You know Herbert Woodward Martin?
Yes.
Yes, he's a friend of mine.
We had dinner with him, with Grace.
Yeah.
He's a very good friend of Grace Cavalari's, yes.
Yeah.
And I heard Maya Angelou read just the night after I heard Herb Martin read in Reading.
Oh.
They were both in Reading, one the night before, and they both did Jump Back, Honey, Jump Back. Do you know that, that poem?
Yes, I do.
It was so fun.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I recite a number of Dr. Maya Angelou's poems. I memorized, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great.
I used to recite her poetry before, shared hers publicly before I had the confidence to share my own.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Sister Joy insists that I share my poetry, because when we would go out as collective voices, I would want to share Maya Angelou's poetry and some other poets that I know, their work, like Paul Laurence Dunbar. I know some of his, and Langston Hughes and Nikki Giovanni. But anyway, Sister Joy said, you're going to have to start sharing some of yours, Lady Di. So I memorized some of mine and started doing so.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I'd heard that story. That is wonderful. Lady Di, you were involved as a young poet writing poetry. And now as you look kind of over your shoulder at the young folks coming on, what's kind of the key and pieces of advice that you give to young people as they become interested in poetry, writing poetry?
Do not entertain writer's block. Find some method to bring that thought, brainstorm it, and just write. Just keep writing. Write from your heart. Do some things so that you'll have something to share and you'll be able to share it poetically. Just watch the stars in the sky and you can write a poem. Just watch the birds as they hop from one tree to another and you can write a poem. Watch your brother or sister, how they handle themselves and write them a poem. Those are some of the things that I would share.
Sure.
Do not entertain writer's block.
Just don't let it even happen.
Don't let it happen.
And you also work a lot with senior citizens. Do you give them any kind of different sort of advice or pretty much that same advice? What kind of coaching tips do you give the seniors?
I give the seniors the same. And we, in our groups, we always brainstorm. I usually come to them with a theme. Sometimes I will ask for a theme or a particular. I have a workshop coming up on the Green Line, Poets on the Green Line on December the 12th. And the theme is Mother Nature's Creations. So they got that theme in advance. They can start writing it now, but they'll also be writing from some nature photographs that I obtained from one of my favorite photographers. So those are some of the things that we do. Ekphrastic poetry, looking at something and writing from that image.
Sure, sure. I just posted in the chat room, Poets on the Green Line, December 12th. You will be hosting that session. Poets on the Green Line is a real active group in the greater DC area, Washington, DC area. And Lady Di will be hosting their next online session. Is it kind of a workshop or is it a reading or both, Lady Di?
It's both.
Both.
We get to read the work that we bring, and we also create work from things that I'm saying to them. They'll be creating poetry and reading that also. And it's also an open membership. So you can come there and get a feel if you, all the poets that are on the line or potential poets, see if it's something that would interest you and you can join that. It's open. And they're really extending it these days. It used to be held in Northwest Washington, DC, and now it's virtual once a month.
Yeah,
and another open membership is I'm the membership chair of the one that you mentioned, Anointed Pens. Anointed Poets Empowered to Nurture Souls. Just be a writer. We have some of the pens on the line, joined us in the audience today. I saw before I came on. And you can join that group also. That's a lovely spiritual out of Ebenezer AME Church. You don't have to be a member of Ebenezer, but we do have some guidelines to follow to be a poet that empowers to nurture souls.
And before the pandemic, I was lucky enough, several of us have been lucky enough to attend some of their presentations. Very, very powerful group. And back to the Poets on the Green Line, you'll just have to trust me on this, but Lady Di is a wonderful facilitator. So if you have a chance on the 12th, I'm not exactly, Lady Di, do you remember what time it is, Eastern time?
It's 1 to 3 on the 12th.
Okay, so that would be 1 to 3 Eastern time on the 12th. If you have time, you might want to tune in for a few minutes and just contribute and watch the magic happen as well. I know that Dianne Wilbon Parks always has good comments and questions. And Phyllis, I don't know if you did. And Liz asked, Liz LaRue, my sister, my wonderful sister, also asked if the poem that you recited when you were in the 6th grade, just a few years ago, when you were in the 6th grade, if by chance you still have that poem at some point, because she would, and the rest of us would love to hear you read it sometime. But Dianne, do you have a question or a comment?
Well, I always, as you say, Hiram, I always have a question or a comment. I think
Hi.
that, hi, Lady Di. Your reading, as always, is just full and it's a very broad selection, which I love. You took us back to those childhood years, you took us forward. Um, and then you also brought us into, view of Woodlawn and those things that, the ancestors dealt with. Now, my question to you is, I don't know if everybody knows, but Lady Di is a celebrity in some areas of DC. I've been with her, and she's not known some of the folks that have said, "Hi, Lady Di." She's like, "I'm not sure who that is." But I would like to ask you, of all the, besides Maya Angelou, of all the folks that you've met who are celebrities in your lifetime, who do you think, or which introduction and conversation was more enlightening and was impressionable to you?
I can easily say you gave the female that's most impressionable, besides my parents also, Daniel and Dorothy Beverly. But the male most impression, and it stays in my mind, was my professor at the Federal City College, UDC, Gil Scott Heron, a poet, activist, deceased now, but I still remember words and times of being in Gil's class. And also, whenever he came to Blues Alley, I would make sure that I would see him. So Gil Scott Heron would be that person.
Blues Alley is a really well-known jazz club in the Washington, D.C. area. Well,
Yes.
you've got quite a pedigree. If you learned poetry from Mr. Heron, that's wonderful.
Yeah, well, he told me that write from your heart, the things that I say to the children that meant something to me, and go someplace and do something, go to museums. That's one of the places that my parents would take us, because it didn't cost to go to a museum. That's one thing, but they both were lovers of the arts. They both were poets in their own right. So go someplace and you will see something, and you will be able to have something to write about. Travel the lands and you will see other cultures and all, and you'll have something to write about.
So you enjoyed a real nurturing upbringing, it sounds like, from your parents. Yeah. Marilyn Klimcho is a wonderful interviewer. As I may have mentioned to some of you before we got rocking and rolling this evening, she hosts a television program there in the Reading area. I think it's called BCTV, I believe, where she interviews poets. She recently interviewed a friend of many of ours, Jesse Alexander, a wonderful poet from the DC area. But Marilyn, do you, as an interviewer and as a terrific poet, do you have any questions for Lady Di? You can unmute.
Yeah, let me unmute myself.
Sure.
Yeah, the oldest of 9. My father came, he was the oldest of 10. So I know that must have been a huge household. How did you find enough quiet, or did you need quiet in order to write?
I didn't really have to have quiet, but we always had our own space in our room, even when I shared a room with my sister that was next to me, 11 months younger than myself. And I'm number 2. I had an older brother, but I'm the oldest girl, and I'm the second child of 9 children. So I didn't have to have, and I still don't have to have, quiet to write. When I started writing, I'm into those writings, and I can write anywhere, and I just love it. I just love it. I don't have to. I favor home to write, but I can write in the park, in the library, at someone else's home, at a program. I used to write on everything, on all my programs, when you used to get a bus transfer. My sister said, you even wrote on a bus transfer when she was translating my poetry to typing it for me. You wrote on a matchbox, match top. So I just had to capture those words. So yeah, I can write anywhere.
Lady Di has been over the years prolific and remains and continues to be just a writing dynamo. Phyllis Klein from out in California. Do you have any West Coast questions for Lady Di?
Well, first I wanted to say thank you so much for putting such a big smile on my face.
Oh,
You really, I really needed that today.
oh, sweet. That's so nice.
Really did enjoy your reading. And the question I have actually is for you and Hiram and the other people who did the voices from Woodlawn. And I was wondering, I was so moved by that. And I was wondering if you had thought about putting a book together, with your poetry, because I think that would be really knockout. So I encourage you to do that. But that's my question.
Well,
So
thank you
thank you
so
again.
much. Thank you so much for sharing that thought. I have shared that with the Voices of Woodlawn. I would like to see our poems be in a book. So perhaps one day we will have that opportunity.
Yeah, Phyllis, and as Lady Di says, it's a wonderful idea. Sorry, Gwendolyn Williams is in the waiting room, so let Gwendolyn in. The wonderful thing about the Voices of Woodlawn is that all of the voices are pretty busy people. We've got lots of things going on. Dianne Wilbon Parks, who's on here this evening, and Lady Di and I and a couple of other folks, we're all pretty active and pretty busy. And so it's kind of a little bit of a challenge finding the time to assemble something like that. But we have given real serious thought to assembling something. And in fact, I don't think I'm saying anything out of school. We've even been approached by the Maryland State Arts Council, and it's rare that an arts council approaches poets. Usually it's the other way around. Poets are trying to grab the attention of the arts council folks, but they've approached us about seeing if we might want to apply for some support from them to do something. And so it's certainly something that we're considering doing, because as you say, given the times we're living through and the history of our country, this program, Voices of Woodlawn, I think is just a real timely topic. It's based in history, but it's a very, very relevant to today. So,
Yeah.
Lady Di, I had another question, and then I think we're going to kind of begin to wrap it up here. But many of your wonderful poems include a focus on food. And I just wonder, I know you're an amazing cook yourself and baker and all, but just could you kind of comment on your love of food and how you enjoy bringing that into the poems? That one poem you read, I think you made everyone hungry this evening. The yummy poem, it was just like, whoa. So food, tell us a little bit about your love of food.
Well, I love food. My dad's mother was a great cook, and she taught my mommy how to cook, and my mommy taught me how to cook. And then I fell in love with recipes, and now I create recipes on my own. So my dad was real big on feeding his children. We used to like dad's breakfasts and all because he gave us as much as we wanted to eat. You know, if we wanted 10 pancakes, we could get them. Maybe not that many, but mommy might give us 2 pancakes and a glass of orange juice. But dad would say, "Are you full yet? Is everybody happy?" And he just was real big on our meals. He was made sure that he fed his children, but he took really great care of us. Private school and all. He was a very dedicated father, and husband.
Mm.
So
Well,
he got that good food from his mom, and he made sure we received the good food.
good food, yeah. Well, you know, we talk about comfort foods. I'd say that the way you incorporate food into your poems, they become comforting poems as well. I wanted to mention Bernardo. Bernardo Taylor is on, and he's just a terrific poet here in the area too. And he had a comment, yes, 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 that's what a poet does, like a young drummer beating on a desk. So Bernardo, it's always good to see you here as well, and hope you're getting along okay this evening too. And anyone else, before we ask Lady Di to close us off with one final wonderful poem, anyone else have any comments or thoughts for Lady Di? And Gwendolyn, Miss Williams, thank you for joining us. It's good to see you. Any final thoughts? If not, we'll turn to Lady Di for a final closeout poem. And before she gets started, let's just thank everyone again for being here. Liz or Marilyn, can you tell us when the next Berks Bards reading will be and who will be on show at that time?
Yes, we'll have a poetry event on the first Thursday of the month in January. By my calendar, that is January 7th, 2021. It has a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
2021. May the Lord carry us over to the new year.
Get us there, right.
And Anthony Orozco is our featured poet. He is amazing. We really respect his work, and we're so glad that he's going to join us.
Great.
Anthony Orozco. You can totally look him up online.
Great. Very good. All right. Well, Lady Di, you've got people on here from coast to coast. So wow us as we wrap up the evening with your final poem.
I wish I knew what my final poem was. Since it's the final one, I'm having a hard time selecting it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to read I Cannot Take the Lashes, but I really want to say that for another time.
Sure.
Because I want to give something that's upbeat. Well, I'm going to read something that I wrote for a COVID survivor, and I don't know the person, but it came from a workshop that I did, and they showed a little video, and this lady that I dedicated this poem to, and I'm still trying to find some contact for her because she lives in the US. But the poem is called Sweet Jaded Jewel. Sweet jaded jewel, my heart goes out to you. I feel for you, sweet jade. Many mighty miseries you have felt. Multifarious discomforts you have endured. I wonder, sweet jade, what do you feel? What marvelous main tool brought you through? I'm so happy you are able to slowly get out and about. Wear masks, gloves, wash your hands. Living alone myself, I know empty feeling of loneliness, especially when you are unable to get up and out. Sweet jaded jewel, hearing your story, I vision myself on my own, living alone. My tool, my saving grace is power of prayer and poetry for one who has suffered COVID.
Yeah.
That was Sweet Jaded Jewel by Lady Di. Sylvia Dianne Beverly. Thank you, Lady Di, for enchanting us the entire evening here. And really thank everyone from points west and east and north and south for joining us tonight. And be sure to come back on the 7th of January in the new year. Yes, the new year. Yes, no longer 2020, the new year. Yes, for hearing Anthony Orozco, Liz Stanley put his name and date in the chat room. So thanks everyone very much. Liz or Marilyn, do you have any final wrap up that you wanted to, any comment? No, Marilyn's fine. Liz?
Okay, I just want to thank you again, Sylvia, Beverly, Lady Di. I love your voice. I love your passion and your generosity. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Liz. I just put my email in the chat.
Oh, great.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
Let's leave it open then for just a minute so people can jot down her email address if they wanted to order a book. Oh, Sally Toner is coming in. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she missed it.
Oh.
Yeah, she missed it. Maybe she got confused about the time.
She thought it was at 7.
Yeah.
Well,
hi, Sally. But there was something else I was going to say.
this,
Now
I want to step in here and say this, we are recording, and Jennifer Hetrick will take this recording and post it, I believe, to our blog. I'm not sure where we post it, but it will be available and we can let you know how to find that.
Okay.
Great.
Can we
we
save the
don't
can we
have-
save the chat room because I didn't get a
I
chance
just
to read it.
did. I just
Thank
did,
you.
Lady Di, and I'll send it to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. And Sally Toner, we are loving seeing you, but unfortunately, we're just wrapping up.
What?
Yeah, we're just wrapping up. It started
Hi,
at
Sally.
6.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry you missed it.
Usually the meetings are 7. I am so sorry.
No worries, no worries. But we did record it. So if you'd like to play it back, it will be up on the Berks Bards website here before too much longer, and you can have an enchanted evening just playing it back. It was an enchanting reading.
My apologies. Like I said, I think COVID brain, you know.
No worries at all.
That's okay. Hi, Sally. Thanks for coming.
Well, I will look forward to listening to it. And yes.
Yes, absolutely. And in the meantime, let's wish everyone a happy holiday season, end of year season, end of year holidays, whatever holidays you celebrate, assuming you celebrate some. Hope you have a wonderful one. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see the end of 2020. So anyway, we'll regroup in the new year. Thank you again, Lady Di.
Thank you, Hiram.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone, for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
You're welcome.